you learn from tonight's massive Western clash? I got it, Rich.
I mean, look, I don't know if it's going to be a teaching moment, but I want to see Steph flurry, okay? Like, I want to talk about Steph. I want to see Steph trending on the internet, meaning we haven't seen one of those Steph Curry moments. We haven't seen one of those viral games where he done went out and had one of those 40 or 50-point games. I know he didn't have a 29 or a 28. That's cute and adorable for anybody else outside of Steph. But I want to see Steph walk out as the best player on the floor tonight with a W, playing against LeBron James and Anthony Davis, right? That's what I want to see, because we all know the Warriors are not going anywhere unless Steph is playing at an elite level. We remember what happened in Game 7 when they had to go against the Sacramento Kings, and the reason that they won that game was because he had one of those Steph-like performances.
A Steph
Damn it,
flurry.
I need to see one.
So he said a Steph. Did he say
Yeah.
Steph McFlurry? That's not. It's not a Steph McFlurry. It's called the Curry Flurry. That's what it's
there
called.
we go, the Curry Flurry.
It's called the Curry Flurry. And Perk, you're right. Steph and the Warriors, they're now at a place. They are now at a place where he has to be by far the best player on the floor and dominate, and then everyone else follows in. There was Game 6 Clay. There's been nights where it was Draymond. There's been years where it was Kevin Durant, or it was the collective effort. But now it is really Steph, and if he is not in that 30 to 40 range on any given night, then they just don't score enough. They don't have enough room for error. They don't have enough things to overcome that.
We know it's going to be driven by the stars in these types of matchups, but Zach, when you're looking at a specific player or a specific matchup, what are you going to be watching the most closely on the floor here?
First of all, I'm looking at RJ's attitude today, and I don't like it, RJ. You're being mean to everyone on the panel. Settle down. Number two, this series and this matchup starts and ends with, where is Anthony Davis on defense? Who is he on? What is he doing? Where do the Warriors try to put him? His defense, he dominated this entire postseason series last year with his defense. The Warriors couldn't decide, do we want him on the ball in the pick and roll? Do we want to try and stash him off the ball by putting him on, if they put him on Andrew Wiggins, just have Andrew Wiggins hang out so he's out of the play? He dominated the paint, and with the Warriors starting now, two big guys and two non-shooters in Trayce Jackson-Davis and Draymond Green, Anthony Davis is going to be able to wreak havoc in the paint, and the Warriors are going to have a hard time manipulating. Where is he? Can we get him out of the paint? Do they have to go smaller? Anthony Davis is the central figure in this matchup.
Let me just say this, Zach. I apologize for my tone. You know our relationship is perfect, right? I love your floral print shirt. It lets me know that we are getting closer to spring. That I get excited about these moments. I'm just glad to see you. But I don't know. Forget Perk. I got one more point that I want to add to the professor, Zach Lowe.
Okay.
He is 100% correct. This has always been about Anthony Davis. LeBron has been the beacon of consistency when healthy. It's been about Anthony Davis. And Anthony Davis is the one player that there really is no answer for, because he is the most versatile big, one of the most versatile bigs in the league. So for the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors, Anthony Davis has to be a focal point on both sides for both teams.
Is that what you're watching as well, Kendrick?
No, I'm actually watching an underrated matchup that don't get talked about enough, because we're always watching the head-to-head matchup in Steph and LeBron. But what about LeBron and Andrew Wiggins, right? Think about it. When Andrew Wiggins is guarding LeBron is shooting 35% from twos. That's a low percentage, when you're thinking about LBJ and how he lives in the paint. So I'm looking at this matchup because for some strange reason, Andrew Wiggins always looked like he has more energy, and all of a sudden his motor has more gasoline in it. So when I'm looking at this matchup tonight, I'm looking at this personal matchup right here, because again, we have to remember this. The year that the Warriors won the championship, what was that, 2 years ago? Who was the second best player on their team?
Andrew Wiggins.
It was Andrew Wiggins. One could argue he was the second best player on the floor, between all of the players, with them and the Boston Celtics.
Right.
So I'm looking at that matchup tonight.
How many times are you going to get a game that means something, where both of the stars are looking at this going into the postseason? We need this. We want to still try and see if we can fight to the 7-8, so we get 2 bites at the apple, especially with uncertainty at the 1, 2, and 3. So this is one of those rare games. We saw it last year, I believe, in the play-in. Like when you get these, or 2 years ago in the play-in, last year in the postseason, when you get these two teams, when you get LeBron and Steph, the best players of this generation, when you get these guys on the floor and it matters, the game just feels so much bigger.
Right, and that's what it feels like going into this one tonight, because the Lakers still have a chance. If they can get this win to move up to the 8th seed. The Warriors, they're locked in 10. It kind of feels like no matter what here. So there are actual stakes. When you're looking at this, Zach, though, down the stretch, this is the time where the best stars shine the brightest. Who do you trust more to catch their stride heading into the postseason to make a deeper run here? Is it the Warriors' big three, or is it LeBron and Anthony Davis?
Right now, it's the Lakers. The Lakers have caught a real rhythm. This isn't a small sample size anymore. This is a good team. They figured out their offense, which was their Achilles heel for 2, 3, 4 years ever since the bubble. They've been humming, and they've been humming for 2 or 3 months now. This starting 5 works. They're getting just enough production off the bench. They can use a little bit more, but they are rolling right now, and they're big, and they're imposing, and they get to the line. They feel like they have a more settled, stable kind of identity than the Warriors, who just switched their starting 5 again.
Right.
Both teams are playing well, but right now, if I'm one of those top 3 teams, I guess, other than Denver, if I'm Denver, I'm not worried about anybody. But if I'm one of those top 3 teams, I'm eyeing the Lakers and saying, they figured something out. They're a little scary right now.
And to piggyback off of Zach, because I agree with you, I'm going with the Lakers. Think about this for a second. It has become a time where we actually could say that we trust Anthony Davis, because I don't think people realize how long he's been on this streak of being available and playing at an elite level.
True.
This didn't just start at training camp. This started last season. But, after the All-Star break, when Anthony Davis had to carry the load while LeBron James was out to even get the Lakers into the play-in and into the postseason, which they made a run to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Now coming back into this season, Anthony Davis has been available. He has embraced the center position. He has been dominating on both ends of the floor. Any matchup outside of Jokic and Sabonis, I love Anthony Davis when he's in it.
Well, and it's very rare that we're comparing these two. Like sometimes it's the Warriors versus somebody else, or LeBron versus somebody else. But these two teams are both matched up very equally. I would say this about the Warriors. Right now, there is no big 3. There's a big me. There is a big me, and that is Steph Curry. And they're still trying to figure out the other two, because they are not Draymond and Clay. They are not the same as they were when they were winning championships. Okay. Those two are different. Steph feels the same. That's why I say that they're not currently a big 3. They need to do it as a collective effort, hence the Andrew Wiggins conversation and all the other ancillary parts that they need in order for them to be successful.
And the 2 timelines that we've heard for so many years, that for the first time this season and really these last couple of months, we've seen actually start to be executed, I think, in the way that the Golden State Warriors initially had envisioned. Though, for all these teams, though, the playoffs, they start today. They don't start in a week. They don't start for these teams. The top 10 seeds, they are locked in, but the order in which they go, all of that is still up for grabs in the Western Conference. Bob Myers is joining us. Bob, thank you so much for stopping by NBA Today.
I appreciate it, and I would say to the 2 players on there, one championship as a player is worth many more as a GM. So you guys, I'm not going to try to compete with you. But although I did think about unbuttoning a couple more buttons.
Yeah.
I thought about that.
And did you?
I thought about it.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, even if it meant, skipping the shave as well. A year ago, Bob, you would have been, though, at this shoot-around this morning for the Golden State Warriors. Can you just take us inside? We talked about how special it is that we still get to see Steph versus LeBron and have actual stakes here. What are the internal discussions going into a game like this?
Well, I think for these things, this could be a possible play-in matchup, Malika. This could be happening a week from now, so to speak. And so you want to establish something there. And the Lakers beat the Warriors last year in the playoffs and established some sense of we can beat this team. I think the Warriors would argue they have a better roster. Their GM last year didn't do quite as good a job as he needed to put together a roster that could beat the Lakers. But I don't know. I mean, that game, the game tonight, that potential matchup, it's really 50-50 to me. Although I don't think the Warriors matchup that well with the Lakers. And you could argue the Lakers then match up better with the Warriors, but it doesn't mean the Warriors can't beat the Lakers. They just beat them, although AD got left that game early. So tonight's game could be a preview. I don't think for either of these teams they need to build on confidence. I'm doing the game tomorrow night, Minnesota at Denver. I look at that more as a game where if Minnesota can go in and beat Denver, it gives them some confidence. But these Warriors and Lakers teams, they got so many champions on their team. As far as what they need to do, I mean, you got to get out of the 10th spot if you can, right? That's just a monster road game to get 2 road games to get in the playoffs to play the number 1 seed, which I don't know. I guess that looks like Denver now. That's going to be a hard road for any team.
Bob, my question for you is this. When I played in San Antonio, whenever the Spurs played the Lakers or Dallas, there was a different type of energy a couple of days before, depending on how you won, maybe a day or 2 after. When you were with Golden State and, you know, again, the play-in, all the NBA finals, was there a different type of energy when you were going against a LeBron James-led team? Because it wasn't just in Cleveland. That's when it started, but it was like all of a sudden was there a different energy a couple of days before, the day of? Was there a different energy? Because I had noticed it with other teams and other places that had high-level rivalries.
Yeah, you know the answer to that. I don't know if you had to ask. You know the answer to that
I'm
question.
Just asking
you did.
Yeah, you were there.
You know. I know, but you know. You played. Right. You and Kirk know. I mean, there's certain players that you get up for. There's certain teams you get up for. I mean, the Lakers are a team that teams get up for. They're a team that, with or without LeBron, the Lakers on its own is a marquee franchise. You add LeBron and AD, anybody that's been in the league, young, old, and champion, no champion, are going to get up to play those teams. But I certainly think now, I think what's fascinating about that dynamic, RJ, is that you're seeing this appreciation, whereas Steph and LeBron, they respected each other, but I didn't see a lot of prolonged hugging after games and Draymond. And these guys are realizing that this isn't going to last forever. How many more times are you going to see Durant play LeBron or Curry play LeBron or anybody play LeBron for that matter, or vice versa? Curry, how many more games does he have to play the Lakers or play against these guys? So what I'm enjoying and watching more now is, yes, they're going to be up. They're going to be up for tonight. They're up all the time when they play each other. But more tonight, it's going to be, how many more of these are we going to get to see with Steph, LeBron going up against each other in meaningful games? And that's what's fascinating to me. I love seeing those post-game, I don't know what they're saying, because somewhere along the way, guys, that
became very trendy, the covering the mouth.
That's MJ. Right. Michael Jordan was the first one. When he came back in 01, he was doing a lot of this because he was basically cussing out all the referees, and he didn't want everybody to know, and then that just became like a prolonged thing.
Yeah, Zach,
there you go.
We were talking earlier, Zach, about sort of the roster moving forward. It feels like still, even as the Warriors are balancing the end of this season, there's also the young guys bringing them along. You can take it away from there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see sort of what they can take from this season no matter how it ends, because it feels like something works this week, and then something different works this week, but then the thing that was working wasn't working anymore, and there's a lineup change, and every good thing that happens seems temporary, and you want big picture conclusions. I mean, Bob can speak to this. You want clarity about your team and your direction after the season, and the Warriors right now haven't learned all that much big picture-wise about their team. And if this season ends in disappointment, which I would define as losing in the play-in, they're going to have a lot of huge questions in the offseason. Clay's a free agent. Chris Paul has a non-guaranteed year left on his deal. He could essentially almost be a free agent in terms of his movability. Draymond is sitting there as he's had an up-and-down season, to say the least. It's a big offseason either way, but between now and the end of the season, you'd like a little clarity about something, and it feels like they just haven't been able to get that.
Zach, here's the thing. What happens at the end of every season is one team wins a championship, right? Okay, that's it. One team's happy, one GM is happy, one owner is happy, one coach is happy, one fan base is happy. You could argue, okay, OKC's on the way up, and we're happy we went to the second round of Western Conference Finals. The point is, when you lose, you say, why did we lose? Okay. Can we expect to be better next year? Does that mean our young guys are going to develop? And the Warriors have an interesting phenomenon because Dunleavy did a great job with Trace and Pods. Those guys are going to get better next year. Is Kuminga going to get better? Yes. But what's going to happen to the other guys? Can we expect Draymond and Steph and Clay to keep getting better? That's going to be hard. Now, can they stay where they are? That might also be hard. But yes, I believe they can. So when you lose as a GM or any fan base or anybody evaluating a team, you say, why did we lose? The good news for the Warriors is they're healthy. See, because when you have an injury and you lose, for example, your team, the Knicks, for example.
Yeah.
How do you evaluate the Knicks?
Earlier. Yeah.
How do you evaluate the Knicks without Julius Randle in the lineup? But if you're healthy and you lose, you go, well, why did we lose? Well, because this, and that. So as far as why and how and what clarity, Zach, when the season is over, and I hope the Warriors go very far. But whenever it ends, you have to sit down and go, okay, do we expect to be better next year? And why? And can we be realistic about that? But every team's doing that. And Perkins, is this a big game? This is a big game for so many reasons. So many reasons because, one, you want to get out of that 10 seed. Yes, you're up for LeBron James. Yes, you want to establish some dominance.
Yep.
Should you play them again? And this is the team that knocked you out last year and ended your season.
Right.